And here is my model, my second last slide here. It looks complicated, but is actually, again, guided by Laureate's conversational framework of 2 levels of teaching and learning activities. Is from my experience and from my research and from all the data I've been reviewed and reported, a possible model for synchronous web conferencing needs to take care of both the pedagogical level as well as the technology level. At the technology level, it goes without saying that it needs to work, okay, and it needs to be easy to use. And people like the recording aspects. In terms of pedagogies, in our context anyway, having appearance on the webcam and having good attitudes, good organizational skills, being able to respond to questions quickly and immediately, and also getting participants to be involved all the time. Orientation and etiquette, as I mentioned, altogether contribute to a positive experience. So if some of these attributes are considered, then this form of teaching and learning would provide a good way of educational experience. Limitations. Sorry, someone's asking a question. Sorry.
Yeah, CQ, just before you move off your slide of the model, down in the bottom right corner, you've got mobile learning, CLA highlighted. Was there a particular reason for that?
Yep. Thank you for pointing this out. I wasn't purposely not covering this, but in the interest of time, I did not mention it. Now, mobile learning is actually an unexpected outcome of my study, in the sense that I have experimented with the last semester of students about viewing your recording in a mobile devices, and it worked basically, okay, on Collaborate. But the problem with Collaborate is the video needs to be converted into MPEG formats, basically. I mean, what I'm saying is you have to use the local version of MPEG video instead of the JAR file, which is the local Java runtime recording, okay, for mobile devices. And the way it works is that I post it on YouTube, and for students to access in class and out class and wherever they are on their mobile devices. And what does it mean? This gives them what is known as a personal learning assistant, in the sense that when they watch a video and do a lab, for example, on their mobile devices, the learning experience becomes unintrusive, because you are not being limited by one computer and you have to constantly toggle, which can be frustrating. Watching a video, a recording, and then switch over to a machine in order to do something. So this gives the the outcome is a mobile personal learning assistant, the recording I've created. And at the same time, we know that Collaborate can offer mobile synchronous sessions, and I've also tried out that in the last semester. So that was what I meant here. Okay. Let me address Tanya's question here. You might consider extending the model to include content as per TPCK model. Thank you very much. Taking note here, Tanya. Thank you. Does that answer your question, please, Stephen?
Yep. Thank you, CQ.
Yep. Limitations. Participants were restricted to the labs. In a real situations, participants all over the world, just like where we are. In my context, participants actually voice out that can they do it at home, but this is due to regulatory reasons, in the sense that we have attendance and we cannot allow students not to come to school, okay, especially the foreign students. There's immigration requirements. For that reason, the only way and the best way to conduct this research was use computer labs. Only one course, okay. Why is the study significant? As a result of what I've done and bringing in the systems and conducting this research, one of our school is actually adopting the system. And actually, this semester, I heard that they're running 35 courses using Blackboard Collaborates in their synchronous learning, teaching and learning. Future studies, not only one instructors looking at pedagogy and action research with a group of instructors. So this is where I can see the area work can be extended to. This school's mass run of live in real time of the web conferencing. Letting student participate from home. Okay, if once if the course allows, the mobile aspects, and there's one features of Collaborate and all synchronous web conferencing system is that it allows remote desktop control, basically, and that would provide an opportunity for total one-to-one learning support. Okay, so these are the possible areas. And then finally, I would like to end my presentations by quoting Professor Diana Loriot in Hong Kong, who actually was present in my presentation, and she actually, in her closing address, she identified my work as well as somebody else's work, and the quote I've extracted is she basically referenced my talk, and she noticed that my adaptation of Morton's work of pedagogical and action research, and which fits into her latest work on pedagogical patterns, and she noticed that how I've done it, 3 phases of reflect, plan, and act and observe. At the same time, I'm sharing it at a conference. So in the final sum up, that's what pedagogical design scientists do, and that's what I'm trying to do here with the technologies at my disposal, which is called synchronous web conferencing. Thank you very much. I've used up over time already. Thank you.
Well done, CQ. I know how much.
Thank you, Stephen. Now
I know how much it means.
Question answer.
I know how much it means to you to get to this point, having had some discussions recently. So, good on you.
Yes.
I just have one question to get the ball rolling in case there are any more. When you were looking at your outcomes, conclusions, one of the points you were making was about the mobile MP4s. And I wonder if there was any feedback from students that you captured that mentioned the lack of the chat area being captured in those MP4 recordings. Because from my understanding, when you create the MP4, you just see the whiteboard area. And given some of the earlier comments about the value of the chat area to the students to make contributions,
yes.
I wonder if that was captured at all in any of the feedback from students.
Yep. Okay. I can give an update here. Because it was at the end of semesters, I wasn't able to answer your question directly and bluntly. I did not get any feedback because students literally left the semesters and focused on the examinations. But during the lesson, during the actual demonstrations, students didn't know about this discrepancies. Okay, purely because they were already finding that having a mobile learning at their disposal in web conferencing, they were they had to come to terms with a new learning system, so to speak, and for that reason they didn't have time to notice the chat was missing, basically. So because I did not have enough time to do this with them, that's why I wasn't able to get the feedback. But I know what you mean, Stephen. Thank you.
Hi, Monique. Monique, we've just had a presentation from a colleague over in Singapore about some of his research. So if you have a question about Blackboard or Collaborate, I'll ask Tony or Roger just to pop you in that breakout room and they can deal with that. Tanya, did you have a question or comment for CQ?
Hi, Steve. Hi, CQ. No, not really. I just wanted to commend CQ on his wonderful study and just the rigorous way in which you've set it all out. It's wonderful, and I can sense your enthusiasm for your work in your presentation. Really nice. Yeah, I'm also a fan of scholarly teaching and trying to capture these pedagogical patterns. You use some really nice words that I'd like to, if possible, also draw on some of the work I'm doing in my marketing subject. So thanks very much, CK.
Yes. Yes. Tanya, thank you very much for your very nice comments and very encouraging comments. Now, Laurie Lart's latest book on pedagogical patterns, which is in my reference, which I will send Stephen the list of my reference. My overall dissertation will be too long for anybody to read, and that shows where Laurie Lart's latest work is on pedagogical pattern. Okay, and I would say overall the experience the last 2-3 years has been tremendously rewarding, both from me as well as the work I've done, because despite the technical failures, and no system is perfect, and especially when you do something live, it's quite nerve-wracking when things don't work. And for that reason, when things don't work, that's when, if you panic, that's when you lose the class enthusiasms. And what I was able to, able to share about my experience was that during a semester when the system totally didn't work because of external attacks on Blackboard back in January, I actually used the recording of Collaborate. I did a recording pre-lessons, and then in anticipation of the system won't work today, I was still able to conduct some elements of web conferencing using what is known as the term is called flip lectures, okay, or flip classroom. So I was able to use the video elements of Collaborate to help me overcome that particular technological challenge. So that's what I would like to say. So thank you very much, Tanya, for your encouragement. Thank you.
CQ, Tanya and I are working on a little project at the moment where we're peer reviewing some aspects of each other's work as well. And Tanya's moving into that space of a flipped classroom view, among other design elements. So I'm sure that some of the things that you've highlighted here will be of some comfort, perhaps, and some encouragement for our discussions moving forward as well. And certainly, while I haven't got a whole lot of things written up in this space, I've got a lot of feedback over the years from students from way back in the early days. When we did some qualitative surveys of students when we first started using Illuminate, the most common thing that students noted were things like ease of feedback and the ability to talk and so on. So it's good when those sort of things are still confirmed down the track so far, and the technology's come such a long way. So it's kind of nice, having been in the space for a long time, to see that. One thing I'd noted down was around page 17. I'll just see if I can quickly skip to that. Perhaps I can't. Let's go back.
I'll move out. Okay, 17.
There we go. So here you were talking, these were the results from, what are we saying here? Better between achievement, no relationship between student achievement. Anyway, I'll read what I had noted down. What about for those who did not pass? So you were talking about the relationship with the students who passed. So is the reason you're not talking about the students who didn't pass because everyone passed, or because the numbers were too small, statistically not worth looking at?
In fact, Stephen, you already helped me answer this question already. It is the numbers was statistically very small, which is consistent with the performance of this course. over, this course has been taught over many semesters already by myself and other instructors, and usually it's about 1, 2, 3, or 4 students who didn't pass. And the numbers here basically shows that in each group there would be 1 or 2 students who did not pass. So the results basically, even with these interventions, did not mess up the course performance pattern over the years, basically. And that was important, because the last thing I want was I put in some intervention and it messed up, the people's results. And so statistically, it was not important, basically. Okay, so that's the answer, Stephen.
Good to see Tanya trying out multiple cameras there as well. So what I'm seeing now, because I'm talking, I'm seeing a big picture of myself with books sticking out of my head and a small picture of each of you underneath. So whoever's talking at the moment, they take precedence and pop up. So just so you know what goes on.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And it's interesting too, this sort of thing fascinates me. We've got the consultation happening back in the breakout room. So there's 4 mics happening, 2 video cameras on, and we're still handling things okay. It's pretty amazing, I reckon.
Oh, it is. It's we're doing it live, and we're doing real time, and we are different areas. I mean, in today's days and age, it shouldn't be a surprise, but what really gave me the motivation to do this topic is the live aspects, and that offers a real challenge. Basically, when you do anything real time, you have to be absolutely well prepared for each session, and you cannot afford to mess things up during the lesson. So the pre-testing was very, very important. But basically what happened was, when each lesson, remember I had 14 lessons and 8 of them were synchronous conferencing. Each of those lessons before that I would do a test, and in each test I would identify different kinds of problems. And Steve, previously when you came to Singapore, you helped me overcome some of them, such as how to make a presentation more live, more effectively using the camera captures format instead of loading bland original PowerPoint, basically. Yep. So that's what I've learned.
Thank you. I like the little
the spelling. Yes.
I like the little agenda up in the top right corner of your slides as well. I haven't seen that for a long time in the presentation, so well done. That's a nice little navigation.
Yeah.
It's all a reminder of where we're up to, or some people might say how close we are to the end.
Yes.
So.
Yes.
Yes. I just moved back to one of the early slides too for your research idea. Can I just urge you to check that you've spelt Newman right? I think it's Neumann. I only say that because I actually happen to know him, and maybe just want to make sure that's right in your research idea.
Okay. Yeah, spelling error. Correct.
Yeah, he's actually a graduate of SCU, one of our arts programs.
Really?
Working over at London Knowledge Lab,
Wow. Well, small world. On virtual space, Steve, we're in one world, basically.
Absolutely.
There's no distant world.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Tanya, any other questions or comments you want to make, since we've got the pleasure of your image on the screen there?
No, sorry, I'm just getting you carried away here. So many good ideas, CQ, in your presentation. No, thank you very much. Look, in terms of the study design, I probably have a few questions about the other factors that might account for differences in student performance. But I think that's beyond the scope of the study here. So for what you were investigating, I think it's really wonderful, and I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Tanya. Thank you. That's really, really encouraging. Thank you. Really appreciate that. And for taking the time to listen to my presentation here. Lots of contents, lots of details, and I've used up more time, basically. in the actual sessions, I would be given 20 minutes only. I honestly don't know how, without going, too fast and missing the key points. 20 minutes is insufficient. But anyway, I'll just see how I get on in 2 weeks' time.
It's a challenge, isn't it? I think one of the things hopefully CQ will do is we'll send you a link to the recording, and it might be that one of the benefits of watching that recording is you might be able to target particular things that you feel you can leave out. And I guess also we interrupted with a few questions as well, and that probably won't happen in your 20 minutes. They'll probably just let you talk for your 20 minutes. So that's another thing to think about as well, I guess.
Yep. In fact, the interruption was very good, Steve, because I was conscious of just rambling on, basically. So it was a very timely, good interruptions. That helped the discussion, basically.
One thing there that you might think about too when you, I guess, review the recording is one thing I often talk to my students about when I'm getting them to review their practice presentations. Sometimes on slides we put information that we don't necessarily need to go through. So we might say on this slide, for example, I've got up here the list of references that relate to the adoption of technology, and I'll just give you a moment to have a look at those.
Okay.
And then you just pause, have a drink of water, just collect your thoughts, then move on to the next slide. And there may be a number of slides in there where you can take that approach to give yourself a bit of a break. Still have the information there if you want to, but people can read it generally much quicker than we can talk to it. So if you can target slides like that, that might be another thing that helps you retain what's in there, but not feel like you've got to rush through saying what's already on the slide.
Yeah. I see what you mean, So for example, with this slide here, Stephen, I could just say, this is the technology adoption situation according to literature, for example. Then people can read, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. There may be some other opportunities in there like that. And you'll pick up yourself because you know your content better than us.
Yes.
And you'll be more aware when you review the recording about opportunities like that that you might be able to take advantage of, I suspect.
For example, this is the hardest slide I have. This slide here, Stephen, I find it more problematic because what I basically here have is I listed the relevant studies, and it takes time for me to explain each of them. Although I have studied each of them and I know what they are about, but that will take up the limited time I have I've been given. So for that reasons, what I've done here is I just put a line here to give the indication of what this is about and what this is about and what this is about. So I could just say let people read this thing and pause for a while.
Yeah, I guess so, and it's probably like the last slide you're saying here, when I look at specific studies that have targeted web conferencing, you can see they're adopted in a range of different environments and using a range of different platforms. So you don't have to go through and say what each one is necessarily, but that's what you're adding to is the use of a particular tool for a particular circumstance that builds up that literature base, I guess. That's the point you're trying to make.
My strategy. My fallback strategies on the actual day is, for example, if I struggle to try to explain something, or if people ask, I can say that I've got on my paper version here, details are on page 26 of my dissertation.
Yeah, I think so.
Base and post section.
Yeah, and I think another thing is that while you're doing your defence, probably the part that people are most going to be interested in will be the methodology through to discussion and conclusion. And sometimes we get a bit too bogged down with the stuff at the start, And even methodology, you know, you
Yes.
can kind of move through that because you wouldn't have got to this point.
Yes. By the time I
Right,
reach here, I lost half the time already. Yeah.
Yeah. So probably most of the scope to move on most quickly that you might want to think about is in those sections, so that you get on, make sure that you've got enough, you feel like you've got enough time to do your analysis and discussion justice and highlight the key points you want in there. Because as you say, you can go back to these slides if people want to question it afterwards. So your 20 minutes is what you've got to focus on, I think, is your findings and analysis.
Now, Steve, my biggest concern is here, the data analysis. Because as you can see, I've got tons of data here. In fact, this is only a scratch of the surface in my actual write-up, my dissertation. There's even a lot more data. I was trying to see how to reduce them. Perhaps I'm thinking of this is the slide that gives me most concern, because three semesters saying the same thing, showing the same table. I was thinking how to just show one semester's and then mention the results for.
Yeah, look, maybe an idea there, thinking out loud, is that you show the stepwise model regression for the first session.
Yep.
Then when you go to the next session, you show the graph rather than the stepwise regression table. And then for the third session, you show both.
Okay, graph. Okay, get it. Okay, got it. Yep.
So rather than try and do the same thing 3 times, build up. So one's the table, the next one is just the graph, and then the third
contrast.
For the third session, you show both. Just an idea.
Yep.
And again, you can have it there, but you can skip through it if you like. You can come back to it if they want to. And the other thing I noticed too, CQ, when you were going through these slides, I actually made a note in relation to one of them, which happened to be number 28, but it doesn't matter because this slide will do. One of the things where you were trying to get to on this slide here, 28, you're making the point that, okay, there's a lot of text on here, so the way to make the point clear that you want to address is to look at what you've selected here, then use a highlighter. Now, whether you do that in here or whether you do it in PowerPoint for conversion doesn't matter. But you have the things highlighted that you want to draw people's attention to. Then they won't worry about the rest. They'll focus on the bits you've got highlighted. And that can be a reminder to you as well. If you've already got that there, you know they're the few things that you want to focus on. Correct.
Yeah, good. This is very useful, Steve. Yep. That's what I've neglected to do. Yep. Okay.
And if I go back to that one we were looking at here, I think it was this one, then again you're a little tangled up trying to cover all this, when really the only one you wanted to talk about was the one that was statistically significant. So again, on your slides, what you might do is have that last point either highlighted like this or use a different colour, so that when you go to whatever the next slide is, you've actually got the point you want to make on the slide highlighted.
Yeah.
If you've done that in advance, then that's going to be your point of focus as well, and people can look at the other things if they want to, but you're drawing attention to the result of what this analysis said, which is what they'll be most interested in.
Yes.
So maybe that'll help a little.
Definitely, Steve. Definitely, yep.
All right, so anything else I can help with today?
No, if you've asked all the questions, then I'm happy, Steve. I'm sure during the real sessions, they won't let me off just like that.
Oh, look, no, I'm sure they won't, and because you're only talking for 20 minutes, I'm sure they'll have lots of questions and probably want to go and have a look at some of the detail and have that explained.
The whole session is the whole session is going to be 2 hours. So
2 hours.
1.5
okay.
hours,
Yeah.
which is the standard stuff. 1.5 hours, people will be asking different questions. So anyway, I've done it before for my for my candidacy. So so I'll just focus and make some changes here, as you mentioned.
Sure.
That aside, Steve, I'll have a couple of things to update you about my situation. I've actually transferred a department now, Steve.
Okay.
I
do
moved to.
you want to just pause the recording here and then?
Yes, please. Okay.